everybody, Jake here. Welcome back to Movie Smoothie, where today we are ranking all 5 seasons of Rick and Morty thus far, in celebration, of course, for Season 6 coming out September 4th of this year. I'm very excited for this new season, but in the meantime, let's talk a little bit about the past. Now, before we do that, though, of course, if you guys can like this video and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that. So getting into the ranking here, we got 5 different places to award all of these seasons. What's coming in 5th place? I gotta go with Season 4 here. I actually don't hate Season 4. I think it has a few of some of my favorite episodes of all of Rick and Morty in this season. You have Edge of Tomorty, which is such a weird title for an episode. I love it. Obviously, Edge of Tomorrow, rip off kind of episode, which plays off of certain themes from that. Movie with Tom Cruise. I absolutely love this episode. Probably one of my favorites from the entire season. You also have Claw and Hoarder Special Rickdoms Morty, which these titles are just going to be very hard for me to get through without laughing. This one is about Rick and his like pet and Morty and like Rick and Morty like have a pet dragon. I love all the things between Rick and the dragon people and all that. It's great. It's a really fun episode. I really enjoy this one. Rattlestar Rick Lactica is one of my favorites of the entire season with the snakes, and the snake jazz is one of my favorite things from the entire season, one of my favorite jokes. But my favorite episode of Season 4 is the Vat of Acid episode, which I think is honestly one of the most well-written episodes of any Rick and Morty episode across the board from any of the seasons. This one is just really well done. It's basically just one long running joke with a very awesome payoff right at the end of this episode. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's a banger. It's one of my favorite. It's a top 5 Rick and Morty episode, I think, for sure. But Season 4 is a little lackluster in some of its other episodes, like the very last episode, Star Mort Return of the Jerry, which obviously is a Star Wars parody. I just feel like is honestly one of my least favorite episodes of the entire show. It's just not very, it honestly didn't get a chuckle out of me at all. It's just very convoluted, very over the top. It introduces this whole thing about like the 2 Beths, which I don't really love. I mean, it's character development for a very underdeveloped character, opposed to just about every other character here who I think is really well done and really well written. Beth is a little underutilized at many points in the show up until this point. And I appreciate them for doing something with her character a little more. We started to see Beth really apply herself much more in Season 3, and in Season 4, they give her more to do. But I've just never really been a fan of the Space Beth thing. I mean, it was cool for like one episode, and then it just kind of gets a little over the top in Season 5, I think, and I just don't love it. This episode, that's kind of like the one cool thing about it, but that's about it. I don't know. I just think it's pretty lackluster. And some of the other ones, like Childrick of Mort, I was pretty bored with. The second episode is kind of just like, once again, just not super hilarious. This is the season where I feel like they forgot to forgot they were an adult animated show. Like, there's some episodes that are just too smart and like come off as a little pretentious to me, like especially the Story Train episode. It's probably my least favorite episode of the entire show. It's just so like, hey, we're smart. That's what this whole season I feel like is just trying to prove a point of something that never needed to be proved. So that's just kind of my thoughts about Season 4. But like I said, a few standout episodes here and there that I really appreciate. But coming in 4th place is Season 3. I like Season 3 once again, but I kind of have the same problem that I had with Season 4 with this season. There's just a few episodes, less episodes than Season 4, that come off as a little pretentious to me, and I'm just like, nothing crazy here. With Season 3, we also had Morty's Mind Blowers, which I think is easily the most disappointing episode, even though it does have a few little chuckles, get some chuckles out of me here and there. It's just disappointing because they tried to do like the interdimensional cable thing, but with more like past memories of the characters. But I think what was so great about the interdimensional cable is it's just Justin Roiland making up stuff off the top of his head. This episode feels like the small episode ideas that they couldn't formulate into entire episodes, so they just threw them all here. That's kind of, and it comes off as, okay, well, these are clearly underdeveloped and not as funny or not as crazy, and don't make you like think as much. So I don't know, it's just not as impressive of an episode to me. But you also have episodes like the Rick Lantis Mix-Up, which is just fantastic, a top 5 episode for me, which I just love. I love how it furthers the evil Morty plotline. That's so funny. It's so good. Justin Roiland's performance as all the Mortys and all the Ricks is just so underrated and so underappreciated. I love it. It cracks me up. I absolutely love what he does here in this episode in particular. Very funny. That's a really big standout to me. I also love Rest and Ricklaxation. That's That's a super underrated episode. I remember when this one was coming out, I think Justin Roiland either put on his Instagram or Twitter, like, hey, this episode tonight, this is good old classic Rick and Morty. You guys are gonna love this one. And I feel that with this episode. It feels like this feels like something from seasons 1 and 2, back to basics, back to form with Rick and Morty here, and I really love this episode. It's probably my favorite of all of season 3. Season 3 also gets a lot of crap, and I feel like it's kind of underrated. Like, I think overall, it's actually pretty good. People constantly are saying that the Vindicators episode is easily the worst episode. I just wholeheartedly disagree. There are episodes of Rick and Morty where I am bored to tears, like in season 4 and some of the end of season 3, that I don't care for. Like the very last episode of season 3, once again, I think is one of the worst episodes. It's just not funny. It's a very like overused plot line. They try to bring back the president and stuff, and he's great. He's an awesome character, but it just doesn't work for me in that one. I don't know. It doesn't come off as funny. It's just very like over the top. I think there's a Minecraft reference too in that last episode. It's just like, hey, maybe if we just throw a bunch of random stuff together, it'll work for an episode. That's how that one feels. That's how the most of season 4 feels to me. Vindicators, at least, yeah, it does break the Dan Harmon story cycle and all that. Sure, there is that. And I don't love the end of the Vindicators episode, but it's still funny. Dude, a million ants, that's hilarious. He gets shot by like some robot thing, and he's just like, oh, my queen is laying more eggs. I am back up to 1 million ants. Like, that made me like die of laughter. That's fantastic. There's a lot of good episodes in this one. The first like 5 episodes, actually the first 7 episodes of this season are fantastic. It's just like the last 3 episodes I just feel like are a little lackluster in my opinion. But season 3 overall, still very solid, man. Then we get to season 5 in 3rd place, which I just think is fantastic through and through. These top 3 seasons here I think are phenomenal. There's not a single episode where I'm like, okay, whatever. Season 5 is very solid. There's a few episodes that have like some low spots, I'd say, like maybe just kind of looking at some of these, like episode 2 maybe has just a few little bit of low spots. It's still a really cool episode about all the decoy families. It's still very fun and has a really cool ending overall. I absolutely love the Mort Dinner Rick Andre episode that whole episode is just very funny to me. That one's great. A big standout is the Thanksgiving episode with all the turkeys. Once again, a great episode with the president character, who that's just one of my all-time favorites as well. That was just really funny. The whole end of this season I think is great, leading up to the continuation to the evil Morty plotline, which is in my opinion the strongest thing about season 5. They took it to a place that I didn't think it was going to go. That the biggest surprise I think of the ending of season 5, which massive spoilers about where the whole evil Morty thing goes, is that you find out that all the dimensions and all the different universes we've been going to are just the dimensions where Rick is the smartest human being out of all of them. Like, there's even more dimensions where he's not that character, and I'm very excited to see if we ever explore some of these other dimensions through this gold portal that evil Morty goes through at the very end of the last episode of season 5. I'm curious if we do more with that in the future. I think we have to. I think that's what this is setting up, that there's more universes out there with more even smarter people than Rick who could take him out potentially. So I'm very curious to see what they do with that, if they further that going forward, if evil Morty gets all those people together to come after the Ricks. I think that would be pretty sick. I'm super down for that. Can't wait to see if they do something with that moving forward. But I loved season 5. I love where it went. It's a very fun season. Some good stuff there. Coming in 2nd place though, and this is gonna kind of ruin the 1st place spot, but I think season 1 comes in 2nd for me. I think this is the seasons 1 and season 2 are just all the way through perfect, so fun, some of the best of adult animation from the 2010s in my opinion, with just every episode of season 1 being so fantastic and phenomenal. Obviously some standouts here are the first episode, the lawnmower dog one. Summer, where are my testicles, is something I continuously say to my friends all the time. Very good stuff. John Oliver in Anatomy Park is great. The guest voices I think are really phenomenal for season 1, which is kind of surprising considering that Justin Roiland was kind of like, I don't want to say a nobody before this season, before he did Rick and Morty, but like he didn't do much. So the fact that they got such really good guest voices for this season especially is surprising to me. John Oliver in Anatomy Park being a massive standout for me personally. I just love John Oliver. He cracks me up. I could watch his show all day long. He's awesome. The Meeseeks episode is an easy top 5 episode as well. The Meeseeks are so funny. This is an episode I'll probably be watching a million more times in the future. It's great. Rick Potion number 9 is probably the first like really smart episode of Rick and Morty, which I think was really important to shaping the entire franchise as a whole of where it's gone. That's a great episode as well. Rixty Minutes is one of my personal favorites just because it's so funny. It's so outrageously, effortlessly funny because it's just Justin Roiland kind of doing his thing for 22 minutes, and it's great. Like it's just so fun. Interdimensional Cable, we need more of that. I was really happy that in season 5 there was at least a reference to it in like every episode, which was cool. But man, I could use another interdimensional cable episode, man. Why not? Why not do that? That could be fun. I don't know. Just my thought. And the entire ending of season 1 too. The close Rick counters of the Rick kind I think is a super underrated episode. One of my all-time favorites when they find the Morty Matrix thing and it's all the Mortys getting their sides poked and they're all screaming in agony. That's just so funny to me. Maybe that makes me really messed up, but I love it. And the ending episode here, also super underrated, where they have a house party and Abradolf Linkler shows up, who is a mix of Abraham Lincoln and Adolf Hitler, which is just conceptually a very ridiculous and insane character too. But I gotta give the gold to season 2 here. I just think that season 2 is just the perfect season. It has my 2 favorite episodes of the entire show, including Total Recall and Get Schwifty. Total Recall is just one of the funniest episodes of the entire show and also has one of the coolest sci-fi plots of the entire show as well, and that's why I think it's number 1 for me. You have these parasites from space who start implanting fake memories into the entire Smith family. It's just a very fun watch. You have so many different zany and crazy Justin Roiland-esque characters just running around here. A reverse giraffe with with a short neck and long legs, which is just like so insane. I don't know. That's just so funny to me. You also have Sleepy Gary, who's a standout for me. Him and Jerry's backstory is so just like laugh out loud funny. Really good stuff. I'm just cracking up thinking about it. And of course, you would be a sinner if you didn't decide to talk about Mr. Poopy Butthole, who is possibly the greatest character of this entire series of television, man. Mr. Poopy Butthole just cracks me up. And he's real. It's the best twist in adult animated history, I think, the very ending of this episode. Why, Beth? Why'd you do it? Oh god, that's so funny. Ooh-wee! That's my review of season 2, episode 4. Ooh-wee. And then we get to Get Schwifty, season 2, episode 5, which I think is once again my second favorite episode. It's just like, it's so consistent. Season 2 is across the board, every single episode so funny. But these two are in particular just my absolute favorite. We once again have Justin Roiland just like improvising this crazy song in Get Schwifty, which I actually got in trouble for implementing it into one of my PowerPoint presentations in my senior year of high school, which my teacher actually took an entire letter grade off of my project and said that was super unnecessary. I got in trouble for it. But you know what? In retrospect, I don't care. It's such a funny story to me. This episode is really close to my heart for that reason. I'm constantly telling people to shit on the floor for this one too. So I mean, there you go. Come on. How can you have a problem with that? The Ricks Must Be Crazy is also a fantastic episode. Very underrated. The Microverse Battery, one of my favorite sci-fi plots of this entire show too. I just love that whole idea. You can also, there's this crazy theory about how maybe Rick is also inside of a microverse himself and he knows about God and all that. There's this like crazy theory about that, which is insane. But I think another thing that's super underrated about this entire season is the interdimensional cable episode. This is, in my opinion, even better than the first interdimensional cable. I just think all the segments that they do are so funny, and even the like overall plot plot that's happening with Jerry in the hospital. That is so funny to me too. They want to Beth wants to replace his genitals with the robot dildo thing, which is just insane. It's a really underrated episode. I think it's really funny. The Purging episode's great. As a horror fan, I really appreciate that. And of course, the Wedding Squanchers is a great way to end this, while also going into Rick's backstory a little more, talking about Bird Person, Squanchy. It's just a great, and Tammy, of course, almost forgot about Tammy. I love the ending of this season as well. I remember just almost being in tears to the Nine Inch Nails cover that they do right at the end here. So, or actually, I think that's an original song, and then Johnny Cash did the cover. I always get that mixed up when I talk about it. But regardless, I actually really love every single season of this show. But how would you guys rank the Rick and Morty seasons? Leave me some of that in the comments below.